It's DEW Time with Pastor Steph.
I don't know what happened. What she said? Good morning, good morning, good morning. And as you know, There's always some crazy technical difficulty, but we're here. How are you this morning? Thank you so much for joining us. You're on with It's Due Time with Pastor Steph. And where were you yesterday? We talked about, what? Well, we talked about the women who thought that the green flags were great until those green flags turned into red flags and didn't make for a very happy situation. And we need to pay attention to things and just trying to figure out why are we falling for the okey doke. All right, we had those surprise visits from him, dropping in unexpectedly and, bringing that coffee and the whole 9 yards until we figured out that he was just doing a little more than checking. So here we thought that it was all beautiful. He's bringing me flowers. He's dropping by on my job. And nah, that wasn't really it. It was that he was doing a little spying because he really wanted to know what was really going on. Well, let's go to the switch tip. Learn you. I think that was a bigger lesson than anything else yesterday. As Shantice gave the switch tip, very practical. You can't even begin to serve God properly until you learn who you are. Why? Because when God starts asking you to do things, you are going to be all twisted. You're going to be unhappy. You're not going to pay attention to anything he has to say. You're not going to be able to even do it properly. You're not even going to be able to do it properly until you learn who you are. Because let me tell you something, everything that you walked into, that personality, that anger, that overexcitement, that impulsiveness, that procrastination, all of that you say I do to God with, not everything is going to be shaved. Some stuff will be used to benefit the glory of God. So if you've got this aggressiveness, he may not take that aggressiveness away, but he will then teach you how to channel it to draw others to him. Remember, Jesus told the disciples, come with me. I'll teach you to be fishers of men. They were fishermen. They knew how to fish. But he says, I'm going to twist this a little bit. I'm going to take everything you know about fishing and I'm going to teach you how to draw all men unto me. Same concept, same characteristics, just a different type of fish. So God is not going to shake everything. Now the anger, he needs to get rid of that because you cannot draw people to God if you're angry. And the Bible tells us, don't be angry. Don't even hang out with angry people. Yo, that is crazy. So until you learn who you are, God is not going to be glorified out of your life or with your life. So that was an extremely practical lesson we had yesterday, that switch tip from Shanti. So I hope you learned a lot. That's how we spent our Monday. Well, today is Let's Talk About It Tuesday Church Folk Day. Are you ready? Let's go. Go ahead and get that healthy breakfast. Go ahead and tell somebody, anybody, everybody that It's Due Time with Pastor Steph is on. And whatever you do, don't go anywhere because we will be right back.
Are you shocked to learn the Kentucky Derby's first champions were black? Their victories shaped a sport and then they vanished from its pages. Let's set the record straight. In 1875, at the very first Kentucky Derby, 13 out of 15 jockeys were black. Oliver Lewis, a name you ought to know, sprinted to victory. These riders weren't just athletes, they were icons, skilled, disciplined, revered. But as horse racing gained fame, racism reared its ugly head. Owners and racetracks shut black jockeys out using threats, violence and outright bans. By the 1920s, the sport they built no longer welcomed them. Their erasure wasn't a matter of talent, it was a matter of prejudice. Today, their legacy is being dusted off and celebrated. Honoring pioneers like Oliver Lewis isn't just about sport, it's about justice.
Good morning, and good morning again. Welcome back to It's Due Time with Pastor Steph, and it's Let's Talk About It Tuesday, Church Folk Day. Yeah. Now listen, let me tell you right now, I don't have a church folk topic. So I don't know if we're going to somehow gather one along the way like we've done in the past, or I'm going to need to reach out and ask y'all to help me with a church folk issue. All right, so just kind of keep your eyes and ears open. Well, let's say good morning to everybody in the room. Remember, you must check in, because if you don't, Pastor Steph won't know you're in the room. Let's say good morning to our King Terrence. Good morning. Missed you yesterday, Terrence. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us today. We got to check in from our girl, Ketty. Hey, Ketty, what's going on? Thank you so much for joining us. We got to check in from our boy Serge. What's going on, Serge? Thank you so much for joining us. And we got our girl Viv in the room. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. And our lady Tamika. What's going on, girl? Thank you so much for joining us and saying good morning. We must say good morning to the ladies that hold it down and make it happen each and every day. Let's say good morning to our girl Shantice. Hey, Shantice. And let's say good morning to our girl Anika. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us and making it happen. Well, you know, each and every Tuesday morning, the first thing we do is we get our trivia on. And I kind of stumbled across an interesting article. They're talking about some clever tricks and tips and hacks for women who live alone, the things that they can do to help to keep them safe. All right. Now, if you got some little tidbits and things like that, make sure you throw them up in the chat room, because we want to know what the Due Time family does, women do, to help them feel safe. Well, one woman says wasp spray is legit. If you've ever gotten that on your skin, it numbs it right away. Imagine that in your eyes and up your nose. Oh, it also sprays more than 10 feet. And it's super cheap and extra lethal. I also have an actual old school shop bell on every door. It's not as annoying as it was back in the day, but it definitely helps to keep the people away. Ooh, I'm thinking about that wasp spray. Wow. Okay. Well, someone says if I'm a passenger in the car when I'm out running errands with somebody or something, I don't get in the car until they do. Okay. And I tell them not to leave their keys in the ignition when they're not in the driver's seat. Absolutely. I still like Sing from Miss Congeniality. Solar plexus, instep, nose, groin. Okay. I've never had to use it, but I repeat it often because I think it's more doable for me. I can't imagine trying to gouge someone's eyes out, but I can see myself hitting each of these. I realize you need to practice, but I tend to think that the motions will work fine in the moment as well. All right. Miss Congeniality. Remember that? Yeah, I remember that. I work in a restaurant, which means late night. So if I can't get a taxi, I've told my wine opener, I hold my wine opener in my hands as a weapon just in case. Yeah, I heard wine opener, bottle openers. Sometimes they have that pointy piece on the end. It's not just to pop the bottles, it actually has that triangle looking thing. Keep it between your fingers. Your keys, keep those between your fingers. And anybody start acting up, just get it going. All right, poke the eyes out. Listen, you don't need no eyes if you're trying to hurt me. Go away. I have mirrors set up so that I can see the kitchen from the living room and the front door from the couch. Okay, that's interesting. Well, if you look in the back of this picture here, there's a lot of glass. I don't know how these people live with all this glass. The whole house is nothing but glass. I just don't understand. Ain't nowhere in the world I can feel comfortable like that. Oh, no. The most important factor in surviving an attack is your willingness to fight back and mess up the attacker. You have to be willing to defend your life by killing them if necessary, whatever it takes until you can safely get away. Most of us don't want to hurt others because we're not monsters. But if it's your life or death on the line, make it happen. All right. If you have them, always keep your storm doors locked. When you answer a knock at the door, a creep can't just barge in. And if it's someone you don't know, you can at least find out what they want before unlocking it. Absolutely. When I'm home and I get food delivered, I always holler, "John, dinner is here," whenever I open the door. Okay, that's a smart move. I think that's good. That's a good one. I keep a fire extinguisher by the bed. I figure I can spray an intruder with the foam, then bash them over the head with the canister. And if there ever is a fire, I'll be prepared. Go ahead, girl. Get your fire and your protection on. Sorry, but a handgun with a permit in training is the way to go, girls. And trust me, it's actually a fun and entertaining thing. Oh, I don't know. I go to the gun range a couple of times a month with other girlfriends, and we have a blast. It can be intimidating, but once you have training and become comfortable, it's the best protection you can get. Okay. I live in a pretty safe area, but PTSD keeps me on my toes. I have baseball bats and I put a sock over them so that if an intruder grabbed them, only the sock would slip off. Also, when I walk my dog, I step to the side and tell men to walk by without making eye contact so that they think she's aggressive. In reality, she just licked them to death. Listen. A lot of people are afraid of dogs, so I'm sure a lot of people don't get attacked when they're walking their dog. Not everybody, but I'm sure that is a deterrent. When passing a parked car, be sure to move or stay on the opposite side of pavement. The sidewalk is likely to be grabbed and have more space and time to run in the event that someone jumps out of the vehicle at you. Okay. All right. That sounds like a plan. Or another woman says, I have a security alarm in my house and cameras in my bedroom, dining room, and by the front door. All of my windows have safety locks, so they can't be opened more than a few inches. I also keep a karate bow under my bed, and I know how to use it as a weapon. My son is a 6-degree black belt, and we periodically go over self-defense. Lastly, I have an 85-pound dog that will tear someone into pieces if they don't belong in the house. Whoa, you should see this dog. This dog is huge. I always check my surroundings before entering my apartment. If anything or anybody feels off, I walk another block. Yeah. That's something that, we talked about, me and my kids talked about years ago. Yeah, don't stop. If you feel somebody following you, or go to the wrong house, knock on the door. Yeah, yeah. They're not paying attention to certain things, but you are. Personally, I've always preferred to have several knives available within easy reach. I have at least 5 that I can get to in under a second. All righty. Let's see what else. Someone says, make it a habit, day or night, to lock your car doors every time you get inside. Most cars now have a feature that locks all doors when the car is in gear, but if yours doesn't, do it yourself. All doors. I was very lucky when late at night, someone tried opening my door at a city intersection stoplight. I don't want to even think about what could have happened if my doors weren't locked. Also, if you're sitting in your car on a nice day, don't have your window all the way down. Only have it lowered enough where someone can stick their arm in. Yeah, I never understand that. I know it's hot, but boy, if the wrong person gets the wrong idea, you're in trouble. I was single and bought a house. The previous owner had owned a huge dog, and she inadvertently left the huge dog's food bowl and water dish on the back patio. Once a worker arrived to work on my cable and electricity, stepped into the backyard and said he couldn't do his job until my dog was brought inside. After he left, I bought a bag of dog food and now always keep the bowl and water dish full. My imaginary dog really gives people second thoughts. That's all right. That's all right, girl. Do your thing. Yes. Whenever I'm away from home for an extended period of time, I always leave a $10 bill in plain sight by the door. If the bill is gone upon my return, then I know someone picked it up and that there was an intruder. Okay, that's interesting. That's an interesting one. Okay. Wow. Tamika says, I used to keep a wedge underneath my doorknob so that it could not be pried open from the outside. Yeah. Remember people used to put chairs underneath the doors and all of that kind of stuff. Yeah, but listen, always protect yourself. Always be very careful. Always be alert. Always look around. Put your spidey senses on, ladies. When you're getting into these Ubers and Lyfts, these ride shares, make sure that you're on alert. I just saw something on Instagram yesterday where they said, do not take water from your ride share driver because they put stuff in the water. I tell you, remember during COVID, that was a big thing. They would be nice and give you water and stuff like that. They say don't take it. Terrence says, yeah, happy my car locks itself. Okay. And he says that $10 thing sounds great, but only if you live alone. Absolutely, Terrence, because that means somebody else could have picked it up who actually lives in the house. So she said she bought a house and that's the way she does it when she goes away for an extended amount of time. So yeah, listen, do what you need to do to make sure you are safe. All righty. All right. Let's see what's going on here and in Storyland. You know how we do. We got to get to our news. All right, let's see what we're talking about today. All right. Wow. So We always got these women fighting over these men. And I can't get it. I cannot understand this concept of I'm going to fight over a man. Because half the time it's somebody else. You two are fighting, and it's a third one sitting on the side, sometimes even a fourth one sitting on the side. Well, let's see where this takes place. Out in Wisconsin. So, there's a young woman, Gianna Lacey, who was hospitalized after an assault outside her job at an assisted living facility. So she's a pregnant mother of 2, and she had just completed her 3rd shift when she went outside to her car, and she was ambushed by 2 hooded figures, and they just started swinging a bat at her, stomping them with their feet. Now she's 6 months pregnant, okay? And so we know that they definitely want to do some damage. So thank God there's a surveillance video in the area, and it captures from the moment the bat started hitting her. So you could tell one of them was a man and the other was a woman. And she was screaming for help, but it didn't seem like anybody could actually hear her. Now, one of the good things about it is an assisted living facility, so they probably got all kinds of surveillance cameras all around that place. And she said that she didn't know it was a man at first, but she could definitely tell it was a woman. And she recognized this woman from being a stalker. Now, the stalking woman was linked to her relationship with this guy. Oh, Lord. While they were beating her, they were yelling, or she was yelling, kill the baby, get the baby. And she was trying to cover up her stomach and everything. They later arrest 38-year-old Mariel Barrios, charged her with armed robbery, with use of force because they took her cell phone, substantial battery, and attempted aggravated battery to an unborn child. She said she could hear them yelling, beat the baby out, kill that baby, as they were passing the bat back and forth. Oh my gosh. She said they went through her pockets to get that cell phone. So that's one of the reasons why they're being charged with armed robbery, because she had a bat, took the woman's things. So you ain't got to have just no gun or no knife. Anything that's used as a weapon. So somehow or another, they ended up running off, and she was taken to the hospital where they saw all kinds of bruising and things like that. And this is all over your baby daddy. All over your baby's daddy. And you know what? What's he doing when all of this is going on? See, here's my thing. If she was stalking Barrios woman, if she was stalking the pregnant girl, there's a possibility that she was following him, and that's how she found out about this chick. Because I'm trying to figure out, how come she knew who you were? How come? You ain't got no business knowing who I am. I don't care who you are. So, I don't know. Tamika says, going back, whenever I felt that I was being followed, I would walk to the nearest store and make conversation with the store owner and take a lengthy period of time before I came out. I would look to see if the possible perpetrator was nearby before I exited the store. Really good. That's really good. I actually like that one. We got Terrence who says stupid females. I don't understand. I don't understand at all why you feel like you need to fight over some man who ain't paying you no mind at all. At all. He ain't paying you no mind. And when you're fighting and you lit up in the hospital and you in jail, what's happening? What's happening? I don't know, y'all. Oh, let's see what else is going on in this news. Let's talk about it Tuesday. Let's talk about these stupid girls who are out here fighting over these men. He don't want you. God, he don't want you. All right, what else do we have going on? Oh, brother. My iPad is all slow today. I tell you, technical difficulties all the way around. All right, it's funny. Pastor KL brought up something last week. We talked about these things before with the melatonin that the daycare centers were giving out to the children. But 23-year-old Miss Juarez, who's a daycare teacher out in Illinois, they are now locking her up because the parents started complaining that the children were coming home sick. They had diarrhea, they were throwing up, and after they did some research, come to find out that she was giving them candy. Now, this goes to as low as 17 months old. The children were 17 months old that she was giving this candy to, which was a laxative. And these kids were going home, they were sick. And this didn't go on for no one day. They said they noticed several days. And the daycare owner, she claimed she didn't know anything about it. Well, maybe she didn't. But wouldn't you? Okay, so here's why I'm questioning. Let's talk about this thing. Here's why it seems weird to me. So all of a sudden, your children break out with the runs, throwing up, and she must have thought it was a virus or something, because how are all these kids getting sick? Now, none of your adults are getting sick, because it could be a virus, but none of the adults are getting sick. So my question is, well, how are the kids getting sick and the adults ain't getting sick? Well, the parents started calling in, and they started doing some investigating, and they started asking, what are they getting during the day? Well, then she ended up confessing that she was giving the toddlers laxatives because she needed a break during the day. And that was the only way she was going to get a break. If you need a break, quit your job. So now you're going to get a break, all right? You're going to get a break. Now your break is going to be in jail, because she's definitely going. She is definitely going. She told them that she was overwhelmed, so she needed to get some of the kids sent home. And the other ones, she didn't give the laxative to, so they would go to sleep and, they would be fine. Why are we taking these jobs and we don't want to do the job? Now, listen, anybody knows that if you are working in a daycare center, in a school, the whole 9 yards, you have got to have some patience. You've got to have some patience, because the kids are going to be kids. I don't get it. You took the job. You knew what the job entailed. Why am I going to take a job that's going to have me in jail? So you either deal with the kids or you go to jail. So what was going on in your life that was so overwhelming? Oh, Lord have mercy. You know what? We need some real answers. I would love to really just get a hold to these people who were doing these stupid things. Oh, boy. So we got sirs that said the two women fighting. He says, and they're not bad looking either. No, very pretty women. Very pretty women. And Terrence is agreeing with Serge. We've got a check-in from Being Redefined. Good morning. Who says sad? Thank you for joining us this morning. Yes, it is sad. Because I can't imagine taking a job and then when it becomes overwhelming, just quit. I'm sorry, jail is not an alternative to being overwhelmed on a job. I don't know. We'll see what our Pastor Vinny Shanties and our Pastor KL has got to say about these crazy stories because I don't know. All right, speaking of crazy daycare workers, we've got another daycare worker and she's now in trouble. She lost her job and so did the two people who work with her. Shanti, show that video, please.
Yeah, now I can do it. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to actually get you there. Are you in the ear? I'm so sorry. I actually did not mean to.
I've been knowing these people for 3 years. I really thought my baby was safe with you.
The child's mom, Michelle Jones, and aunt were disgusted after seeing the footage just this week, more than 2 weeks after the incident.
How do you have a business and you don't review the
Until
footage?
the parent says something.
Why do we have to wait for my niece to come and tell us, hey, my teacher hit me in the ear with a shoe?
Beautiful had told her mom about the abuse the evening it happened. Her mother confronted the director of the state licensed childcare facility shortly after, but says they were slow to respond.
The following day, she said that she went to the girl and she said, give me your story because I'm going to review the cameras. The girl's story was she was throwing shoes in another room that weren't supposed to be there, and Beautiful accidentally got hit in the ear with a shoe.
We went straight to the daycare to get answers. Are you the director, ma'am?
My school, what we stand for, it's not child abuse. We don't hire child abusers.
The center's director, Danielle Williams, says after gathering the initial complaint from the parent, she went ahead and terminated Miss Emily, the teacher who threw the shoe at Beautiful. She suspended the other two adults in the room after they failed to report the issue. But after reviewing the footage, they have since been fired as well. She says all the teachers go through a thorough background check.
Caregiver background check, FBI index, everything, and then the training that goes along with it. I wouldn't wish this on anybody's child, and we don't stand for it. We don't agree with it.
But Beautiful's mom says an apology is not enough and is concerned this may not have been an isolated incident.
Like anybody else who laughs at child abuse.
Oh my goodness. So, as you saw, the baby crawled off of her little mat. And that's when the teacher threw the shoe. Now, here's the thing. You targeted this kid. Now, did the daycare owner have the video camera running and you didn't know the video camera was running, you dope, and you threw the shoe at the kid? You literally took it through, and then as soon as you threw it, then you get up and you try to gaslight the kid into believing that it wasn't targeted, that wasn't meant. Oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to do that. Then what did you mean to do? Well, they said that the other two, in the article, they said that the other two teachers were laughing, and whether they were laughing or not, like the director said, they didn't report it. So you actually sat and watched another teacher throw a shoe directly at the child, and you said nothing. You need to be fired, because then where are the checks and balances? Where are the checks and balances? And that's why they can't believe that this is not an isolated incident, because ain't nowhere in the world this is going on in the class and ain't nobody saying nothing. Well, the thrower, of course, is not going to say anything, but you got two other teachers sitting in this class and no one says anything. No, you just as bad as she is. Everybody needs to lose their job. They really do. They really do. And you know what? It's so sad, because you have to work. You can't take the kids on a job with you. So here. So when I come to your daycare center, you give me comfort in telling me, or you comfort me by telling me, oh, don't worry, we got cameras. Okay, so cameras are great. But unfortunately, cameras only catch what happens at that time and can tell the story later. So it's not like somebody sitting watching this feed. This is not live feed. So the little girl goes home and she tells her mother that the woman threw the shoe. And when they were asking for the footage, or for her to look at the footage, she took her time. So see, now you suspect. You suspect. I tell you. Terrence says, it's a lot of teachers nowadays doing dumb things. Why? They're making the other teachers look bad now. Absolutely. Because now everybody's sus. Daycare workers always make me feel like I'm happy. I never had to put my kids in there. Also in the video, I know she never meant to hit the little girl, but why do it? And that's not the first. I don't understand. Help me understand, Terrence, how she targeted the shoe to hit the little girl, but she didn't mean to hit her. Are you saying like she was targeting, let's say, she wasn't targeting the little girl, but maybe something next to her, maybe to get her attention? Help me, because I'm a little lost there. Kenny says director needs to stop covering up our workers. They need to be closed. Yeah, daycare needs to be closed. My question is why it took so long for the video footage to surface. Why is this so hard for you to do what you need to do? And that's why I say, you end up looking all suspect. Thanks for getting that video for us, Shantice. All righty. So we have a fatality, and I wanted to talk about this because, it's a cautionary tale to anyone who might have this issue. So here in New York City, out in Brooklyn, they have a building where the elevator consistently breaks down. So it's a two-sided building, double-sided building. So what happens is it goes to about the 6th story. So if your elevator breaks down on the right-hand side of the building, what people will do, they say the residents will take the left-hand side elevator, go on the roof and walk across the roof, and then go down the stairs, especially if you're on like the 6th or the 5th floor, which is at the top. Now, I'm a little surprised that if anybody can get up there, because from years ago, they had the alarm. I remember living in a building, not only did they have an alarm on the roof door, you couldn't even go past a certain step leading, and I used to live on the 6th floor. So I had a friend who came and was sitting on the steps, but realized that couldn't go past the first, like the fourth or fifth step, because an alarm would go off. Well, there's an 81-year-old resident, healthy, everything is going well. This is something that not only they do, but he does. Well, that was fine up until the snowfall and the snow turned to ice. They said he got on that left-hand side elevator, went up to the roof, and as he was walking across, he slipped on the ice, hit his head, and died. So please, 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 first of all, of course, the landlord is going to say no one has any business up there. And we know this. We know this because even if your roof doesn't have an alarm, I'm sorry, these days and times, I'm not going up on nobody's roof. Now, if you were a better landlord, then you would fix your building. Because I'm going to tell you something, your elevators, this ain't the first time you didn't heard about this, which is probably why there's no alarm on the roof door. Because what landlord at this day and time, with kids subway surfing and all of this kind of garbage, you don't have an alarm on your roof door? That's because he knew those people were going back and forth across. And they were trying to get in touch with the super, but they couldn't get in touch with the super. And that's because the super knows that they go back and forth. Yeah, you know this. So they said the elevator would break down and it would stay broke for days, and then it would get fixed and stay working for about 2 weeks, and then it would go back to not working and being all broken up again. And this is why it was such a habit for them to do this. Well, now until it costs someone your life. Now here's the thing, he's going to have a hard time, Miss Lynn's going to have a hard time getting out of this now, because he could make the argument that nobody belongs up there, but it's going to come out that he knows. It's going to come out that he knows that people were going back and forth. Oh, it's going to come out. This ain't going to stay no secret. All righty. Terrence says, she was throwing it to make her move from over there. She threw it for the attention, yes, but ended up hitting. But why throw it in the first place? Okay, so you did think, I was right. Yeah, why throw the shoe? If it were, what if the shoe hit her and hurt her? What if it left her a bruise or something? Come on, you gotta have better control than that. I thought it was by law, they have to have an alarm on buildings like that. I'm sure it is, Terrence. I'm sure it is. That's what I'm saying to you. When I tell you this alarm was on the roof back when I was living in this building in 1989. 1989. This is how long they've been putting alarms on roofs and steps. Ain't nowhere in the world you're gonna tell me you ain't got that this is not a law for you to have an alarm on your roof door. That's why I say he's gonna be messed up. He's gonna get the lawsuit because no, the man didn't belong up there. But why didn't you use it as a deterrent? Why didn't you fix them elevators? That's the way I told you that the elevator would work, and then that's the way it was. That's the way the tenant said. They were very accustomed. It was the tenants who told how they would go up on one side on the elevator because they didn't mind walking down on the other side. Come on, when you know your people are having to do all of this, you already messed up. Good morning, Deacon Diallo. Thank you so much for joining us. Where's my Pastor Vinny? So we can talk about some of these stories. Let's say good morning to Pastor Vinny. Good morning, Pastor Vinny.
Good morning. Good morning, Pastor Steph. How are you?
I am doing well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. I am good. It's going to. I don't want to brag. It's going to be 78 degrees down here.
Oh my God, we trying to get the 8. We trying to get the 8,
Hey,
Pastor Vinny. You got 78.
It was
Wow.
40 yesterday.
Wow. Good for you, which is why y'all moved down to Florida from New
Yes,
York.
ma'am.
Oh my goodness. So
Yes, ma'am.
shout out to you who's in 80-degree weather. All right. Please give Pastor Brenda our love. Let her know we're thinking about her.
I will.
And
I
we
will.
miss-
Please pray for her. She, her sinuses are, started acting up again.
Oh,
And
okay.
she has a 30-minute drive in the morning. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah. So,
All
I
right.
kiss her.
Well,
She
keep her
goes
lifted.
out the door. Bye, baby.
Oh my goodness gracious! You
Bad husband, bad husband.
Oh my goodness. Well, please give her our love and tell her we're keeping her lifted in prayer. All right, Pastor Vinny, what's going on with these women who fighting over these men? I don't understand. So now, this man that you're with has gotten another woman pregnant. So now you and your peoples go and jump her with a bat, yelling, kill the baby, get the baby out of her, knock the baby out of her. And now they're going to be knocking you up in jail. What is going on? Beat the baby out, kill that baby. Some of the stuff she was yelling as she was hitting this woman with a baseball bat. Well, thank God she's 6 months pregnant, but she is okay.
Thank God.
But she said that they were stomping her with their foot, and they said that they saw like a mark of a boot on her body. Is it worth it from an older man's perspective? Is it worth it?
Of course not. There's nothing in the rule book that says that this is okay. My problem is, where's the dude?
Right.
He knows there's war going on. But how about correcting, the situation? He is right in the midst of all of this, but there's no picture of him. Come on, show the whole story. It's not just two. I mean, like Terrence said, two pretty decent looking women. They got something going for themselves, or could have something going for themselves, without getting involved in this trivial nonsense. Go find your own man. You could. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I mean, it's like I said. Where is the man in all of this stuff?
He's always missing, Pastor Vinny.
Always. And that's wrong. That's wrong. Look, let's be honest. If this thing never should have happened, and if they didn't get caught, it probably would still be going on.
Absolutely.
If
because she said she was being stalked by this woman. That's how she recognized her.
Yeah. No, it's sad. It's really sad that you can't even live your life, without all of these things going on. This pregnant woman is minding her business. She's minding her business. She's living her best life. Look, I'm gonna have a baby soon. Me and my man or whatever. But part of this, again, they weren't married, right?
No.
So there you go, another story, putting the cart before the horse.
Yeah. One way you inherit these problems. And I'm glad you said that. We got to check in from Miss Herlima. Good morning. Thank you for joining us, Miss Herlima. Pastor Vinny, let's see what your girl Shantice has got to say about this, because I'm sure she got a mouthful.
Get him, Shanti. Get him.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you, Pastor?
I'm all right, thank you.
Great.
So here's my concept. My concept is you're with this guy who's got this. I don't even know if this is an ex-chick, because they haven't said so in the article. They were simultaneously seeing this guy, whether this was an old girlfriend stalking the new baby girlfriend, baby mama, whoever. But this is her third child. She's pregnant with her third child.
Wow.
And this is what she's experiencing. I would say somewhere along the line, he was messy. And this is how we got here. I don't know. You tell me what you think.
Unfortunately, this sounds like a story we're familiar with someone we know in real life who just got sentenced to life in prison at 31 years old because she went to go attack a female who was dealing with the guy she was dealing with. And come to find out, she had been stalking the girl on Instagram and flew to go approach her and ended up killing her. And it flew back to where she lived and got arrested in the state that she lived in. All because your plan was to go up and approach, quote unquote, approach someone. Now already you're not too much of a winner, because if this girl is familiar with you and you and some other people, or you and one other person go to attack her and you're talking, man, is it really that shocking that she recognized your voice? You know, the guy, very messy, because again, just like in the scenario that I just explained of the real life situation that I know the young lady, my question was, how does she know about the other one? They're the common denominator.
Right.
How does she know about the other woman? Whether it was all I did was say her name, or all I did, unless she really took her due diligence to really stalk you, in order to find out who she is, or who she was. But with, like Pastor Vinny asked, with you not being anywhere in sight in this article shows that you were messy, because if you weren't, your integrity would have helped you step up and be like, I don't know what's going on. I ain't have nothing to do with this, or I'm at the side of my pregnant girlfriend, or I ain't dealing with either one of them anymore. But just to make sure everyone knows, meaning the people who it matters to, that I ain't got nothing to do with this.
Right, you're neutral.
Right, you ain't nowhere. And more than likely, you are now wreaking havoc with two other females. Because this is what they do. They don't care what damage they leave behind. Their thing is, I done moved on. And it's sickening, it's disgusting. And unfortunately, the woman who decided to attack, you just all unhinged. And now you going to address something that is not going to be fixed. And unfortunately, the woman who's pregnant, unfortunately, this is what happens when you open yourself up in any way to that degree to someone who has not really most likely shown you any real commitment. And now you're dealing with their baggage.
So wait, so now as you're talking, Shantice, I'm thinking about what I read when Pastor Vinny was talking. As you're attacking her, you're yelling, kill that baby. Get that baby out of her. You really, there's that much hatred in you to go through all of this, go to this length. Let's see what Pastor KL has got to say. Because
who was the winner that was with you to go do this?
Right, a man at that. Good morning, Pastor KL.
Good morning. Good morning. How's everybody doing?
Good.
All right. Thanks. How are you?
Morning, my brother.
I'm doing well, thank you.
Good.
All righty. So we're talking about these two women who one is stalking the other who's pregnant, and she's trying to kill her and some partner, somebody who's, crazy as she is, if not crazier, some guy. They're stomping her, hitting her with a bat, and yelling, "Kill that baby, get that baby out of her." What's the other thing they were yelling? Beat that baby out, all kinds of things. And we're trying to figure out what's going on with you that you're so out of sorts that you're now trying to kill an innocent baby or kill the woman because you are dealing with the same man that she's dealing with.
You have a death wish. You don't want to live anymore. Because you can't possibly want to live anymore. Not live freely anyway. That's just ridiculous. We pick the people that we pick and because they're a dog. But you wanted a dog. Mommy, can I have a dog? Mommy, I promise I'll feed it. I'll walk it. But then when the dog becomes the dog, you mad at the dog? That's ridiculous.
Wow. I don't know. We always ask, where's he? Where are you? Where's the guy that's got all of this going on back and forth? Serge says he's better. What did he say? He's better than most handsome men. He's rich, well-groomed.
I think he's trying to say he better be.
Oh, he better be rich and well-groomed and all of that stuff?
Yeah. He's not.
Okay, no, he's a bum. Can I tell y'all something? I came to find out, look at the mug pictures. There's going to be men who's going to bail them out to be with them. It's a new thing. Is that what you heard, Serge? That's the stuff that they doing now? Because that's far from what I've ever heard. Lord have mercy.
There's women in the street, but I'm going to bail you out to be with you?
Wow.
Well, first of all, here's the problem. I'm going to bail you out from you just trying to kill a woman and her innocent unborn child. Do I really want to get, I want to get with you? I want to get with the woman who's going to beat up a woman and her unborn child for a man because of a man. And I'm going to want a 6-month-old woman? I don't know. I don't know, Pastor Vinny.
My Boaz now?
Are you gonna
saying?
Serge is saying, yeah. Well, you know what, Serge? You a desperate man.
I'm about to say, you can have that golden nugget. I'm good.
Yeah. You a desperate man. Because ain't nowhere in the world I'm bailing you out. And I done just read that you are in jail for attempted murder. That's what I'm going for? I don't know, Pastor Vinny. Is it? You know what? I can't ask you because you're a married man. I can't ask Pascal because he a married man.
Oh, ask me. Ask me.
I gotta ask the men first. Are men that desperate these days? Is that what you're hearing, Pastor Vinny and Pastor KL? What about you, Pastor Vinny? You hearing that men are this desperate that they going after the women in jail? They're gonna bail them out so they could be with them?
Pastor Steph, thank God I'm not even in those circles. I don't even travel in those circles. So but Pastor Brenda was saying, listen, watch out for that woman or that man that looks like gold, because it's only gold plated.
Wow.
You get down to the root and it's brass. It might be tin foil.
You know what? I'm mad. Oh my goodness gracious. Pastor KL, Pastor Vinny says Pastor Brenda is warning that might be tin foil when you get down to the root of it.
I think for a man to want a woman like that with that type of mentality, he has to be just as crazy. Because if you can think about beating me or beating someone, it's almost like the biblical days where they say kill the man child. For what? So if you can think about killing someone, I want to lay down next to you.
Right.
God forbid if I don't eat the rice and you cook because it was nasty, you might want to kill me. No, I'm not. I'm not laying down next to that. I'm sorry. I'm not doing that.
Better practice with sleep with one eye open.
Wow. Serge says, so Pastor Vinny says, sleep with one eye open. Don't sleep with her at all, Pastor Vinny. So you can have both eyes closed and both eyes open. But people go for crazy stuff like this. Serge said this YouTube video. Oh, okay. So wait, Terrence says the guy game must be on. Serge says this YouTube video showing a young man bailing a young woman out of jail, not knowing what the situation was. Terrence says the reason why I call a girl stupid, because if the guy can do it to his new baby moms, what makes you think that he won't do it to you too? I agree with you 100%. He has moved on to the next victim.
On to the next. I just had someone tell me, I had a man say to me yesterday, because I told him that I've had two men tell me that at one point their intention was to trap me. And I was like, that's a thing for men? You're like whacker than whack to me now. And he said, yes, he said, men will try to intentionally get you pregnant, one, because they just stupid, and or two, to prevent you from being out in other men's faces. Not because they want you, not because they want to have a family with you, but they figure that's how you're going to sit out. So now I'm going to intentionally get you pregnant so you can sit down, but I'm going to keep running out and doing what I do. Sickening. This is the mentality. It's not, you know what, let me settle down with you. I want to marry you. No, it's let me trap you so that now you can be yet another woman who's stuck on me while I go find the next woman I could get who's going to be stuck on me.
Right.
That must be a new thing, because back in my former life, the last thing I wanted to do was trap you with any children, because that traps me with the responsibility.
Right.
And then that makes no sense, because you got women now with 4 and 5 and 6 kids still in men's spaces. So children don't sit no woman down.
That's right.
It don't sit no woman down. They're still twerking and all type of stuff with a baby on their hip, looking for a baby daddy.
But that was my response. I said, so you you thought that I would forever and ever, our men, be sitting here waiting on you to do what? To do what? Absolutely not. But you know what too? Back in the day, Pastor KL, women were actually making men stand up. Women ain't doing that now.
Right.
Women are now paying for their baby daddy or their husband or their boyfriend's child support, so that they can now pay for them to get a passport, so that they can now pay for them to go on a trip. That's what women are doing now. Women are not making men be responsible. So if I end up getting pregnant by you and I'm stuck on you, I'm either sitting at home by myself or my child stuck on stupid, or I end up doing something like this. And because I'm now all in my head and my feelings, I'm going to attack the next woman that you're dealing with. Very few women just persevere, like, you know what, I made a mistake, but I got my child. I'm still the mother, whether I'm with this man or not. I still got to be the mother, and I'm going to just pick up and do what I got to do. Especially in the millennial generation. No, that's not happening.
Well, here's my question. First, we got to check in for my girl, Bev. Hey, Bev. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. All right, so here's my question. How in the world do you think this is a plan when you have women who have 6 kids and 2, 3 baby daddies?
Mm-hmm.
So clearly they have shown you that they are not going to be tied down because they've got children, and no man, whether he intentionally got her pregnant or not, or whether she planned to get pregnant or not, or whether both of y'all said, oops, this ain't a plan. This is not a plan.
But Pastor Steph, too, you got to remember, I don't have any kids. So I'm golden. And a lot of times,
I'm not talking about a single woman.
No, but a lot of times that's who they aim for.
No, I get that. But I'm saying I can easily see, like you said, I can easily see why you would be a prime target because you ain't got nothing. But what I'm saying is, with the concept of I'ma hold you down because I got you pregnant is irrational when you look at the women who've got 2, 3 baby daddies, because that didn't hold them down. So why would that hold a single woman down? You're looking at her as a prime target because she has nothing. But women have shown that they're not going to be held down. So what sense does that even make to come up with a plan like that? But I got to shift this to a church folk issue. So you have women in church who are acting just as desperate as the women in the street. And I'm not saying that they're necessarily having all these babies, but they're as Pastor Vinny said, they're moving the cart before the horse. And you've put this plan out there where you're having these children with these men, and now everything is just unshoveled. Everything is in its crazy form now. You can't get yourself together because now you're held down with this crazy baby daddy situation. And why don't we have better sense than the average person in the street? And I'll start with you, Pastor Vinny, because you were the one who said, the whole thing about, putting the cart before the horse. You're absolutely right. When we start off wrong, when we don't do it the way God says, there's a reason why God gave a plan.
Yeah, I mean, I've counseled dozens and dozens of young ladies, of brothers trying to get their head right. You know what somebody told me, that, well, we don't want to do something as serious as getting married, but we'll have a baby.
Oh my goodness gracious! Oh my goodness!
This is the thought process.
Wow!
We don't want to do anything too serious. I said, well, what do you think having a baby is?
Right. Wow.
Yeah, this is a 20-year commitment. And that's only if you find a decent young man. I mean, if it's a decent young man, you're better off. You might find a decent man in the church. At least he got 1 foot. He might have 1 foot on the banana peel, but at least he got 1 foot in the house of God.
Wow.
We don't want to do anything too serious, Pastor Vinny. I'm like,
wow.
I don't know how we got so twisted.
Wow.
I mean, it is really twisted out there. And like Shanti said, they're not going to hold you down, But now you have this new component in your life of this, because he got to be crazy. He got to be crazy if he's still, he's still gonna knock on your door and say, "Hey, I'm here. Oh, you come to see the baby. Oh yeah, I can see the baby while I see you."
Wow.
This is a new component in your free life. Now, and it's unpredictable. It's an unpredictable component because
absolutely
You don't know if he's gonna send his other baby mamas to jack you up.
Right. Or if he's dealing with somebody crazy who will do it on her own.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. You know, Pastor KL, Pastor Vinny just got finished saying that the word was, we didn't want to get involved with something that serious. We didn't want to make a move that was that serious, like getting married. We rather just have the baby.
We don't
care. Lord. All right, Pastor KL, what's your thought?
Well, this is how I feel. I say a dressed up mess is still a mess. The problem with the young ladies out of the church, they've been hurt so much by messes in the street that they was able to identify them being a mess. You know, in church, you dressed up, and because of the title, you know, he loves the Lord. He goes to church. Let me tell you some people who love the Lord. When I get caught and I go to jail, and I love the Lord for that moment because there's something that I need. But I'm emphatically in love with Jesus if he can get me out of this situation. And we deal with people because they quote unquote love the Lord and they're in church. They got to be a good man. But again, a dressed up mess is still a mess. And people won't see it for what it is. They see it for where it is.
I like that. Shantice, what say you regarding Pastor KL's take on the church? And, you know, they're looking at the dressed up mess and they're thinking that this is a better situation because it's in the church.
Yes, because that was me. No, for the old banana in the tailpipe. You finally come to church and I'm like, oh my gosh, he's here. Yay. Break out the baptism pool. And they just as dumb as I don't know what. Because it has everything to do with Pastor Kato just said. Not because you don't have the potential, but this is why I'm done with the potential. Because if you're not willing to step up to where God is showing you he needs to get you, you're gonna stay that dressed up mess. You're gonna stay that one who periodically goes to church and you only go when you feel like you need God to get you up out of something, and you'll learn to talk the talk and walk the walk for that time. And then when it comes time for you to really stand up and really show that you really in that walk, you ain't there. Now, whatever woman was googly-eyed over you, whatever, she done got her hopes all up because she's figuring, because you're coming to church, that means that you want to take this serious. Unfortunately, that is not what that means. It ain't no different than someone walking in the corner store to see what kind of chips they got. Unfortunately, that's where it is now. Let me just walk up in here and see what God got up in here real quick. This may be my last week back. I may not be coming back. Maybe I might next week if I ain't got nothing to do. But there's like no commitment at all. Nobody's willing to make a commitment. So now you getting all crazy and open because it's like, that's what that means. Unfortunately, that's not what that means. Yeah.
I want to read this comment, and then I have a question for the three of you, since you've said what you've said. Terrence says that's why some women never have a good man, because they're searching for a good man, and when that good man was already in front of their face, they never took the time to look at him.
Where they at?
Okay. Okay. My question to you three, so we know that a dressed up mess is still a mess, as Pastor KL said. What are some of the signs? How can we advise these ladies that just because he's in the church does not mean that he is the one? And what's a sign? What's a sign that he's just not the one, even though he's in the church? Pastor Vinny.
Well, they say that a broken clock is right 2 times a day.
Yes.
Even a
Yes.
broken clock is right 2 times a day. You know, even the greatest actors, and that's what a lot of these guys are, and ladies. They're playing a part. They're playing a role. But even they have to come off the stage sometime. They have to come off the stage sometime, and when they do, you're gonna see the real whatever they're supposed to be.
Okay. Okay.
If we're living a life, it's gonna be a consistent life. It's not gonna be high drama, because they're easy to tell today, because they're the ones that are surrounded by all of this, I almost want to say paparazzi, all of this, always something going on, always in the midst of a problem, and that's how you see them. They don't hide. They don't hide. If you hide, you can't. Shantice, if you hide, how much of an influencer can you be?
Right.
Right. I like that. I like that, Pastor Vinny.
Right.
I'm coming back. So think of another one, Pastor Vinny. Pastor KL, what's a sign that just because he's dressed up doesn't mean that he's not a mess? What's the sign that you could tell he's really a mess?
First of all, you got to see him past Sunday. See him in his whole aura. Watch how he treats his mother or his sister. These are signs. If he don't care how he talks to his mother, he is not going to care how he talks about you. And a lot of times, how they treat their family can depict whether he's going to be a good man for you. And I just wanted to comment on Terrence when he says these women are searching, for these men. Well, right there, they're out of order. Because you don't search for a man. He that findeth a wife, findeth a good thing. The problem with that is that when you search, you look carnally. You look at the outside. You look like, oh my God, he's sexy, he's this. But when he finds you, he finds the good thing. You don't find a good thing. You find a mess. No, you just find a thing. You just find a thing.
All right. I like this stuff. Good tidbits. Shantice, what is a sign that just because he's in the church, he's not the right one? Because there are still women who think that just because he's in the church, it's better to have somebody in the church. That there's a chance, but still we need to be cautious.
If he's in the church but he still don't want to hear the word of God, Pastor
Cal, I think that's the next let's talk about resilient living.
Yes.
Wow.
If he's in the church and still don't want to pray, if he's in the church,
hey.
What that's the same thing. You don't want to hear the word of God. You don't want to
keep it contained.
I think that was contained. All right, let's just go to the direct word. It's all the word. Let's go to the direct word. If he's in church but he still don't want to read the Bible and adhere to what that Bible is saying, he ain't really in the church. He ain't really there. So that's just a whole way. Again, he just stepped into the corner store real quick.
Wow. I like that. I actually like that. Now I'm gonna ask this question. So at least he's there. Why shouldn't that be the concept? At least he's in the church. Pastor Vinny.
Listen, that's unfortunately, a lot of people see that, but you can't get any wronger. Your criteria is still faulty. because you could be in the church, but not of the church.
Okay.
Just because your body,
Okay, I like that.
just because your body is there, your soul is someplace else. Your real interests are someplace else. You just there to check out the latest fashions. You just there to check out the latest flavor. Because did they tell you, hey, listen, if you want to find a good girl, go to church. So they want to send you to church so you can mess up somebody else, somebody that might be genuinely looking for a partner in their life.
Okay. Pastor KL, we say at least he's in the church, but we still can't get away from the indicators that, yes, he may be in church, but he's not dateable right now. What's another sign that he's just not the one, at least for right now?
Oh, I thought you wanted me to elaborate on that one. Okay, let's go to another side.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Whatever you feel like. If you want to elaborate.
It's almost like the employee that comes to work and he says, at least I'm here, but you don't do the work. You don't put the work in. But I'm here, but I'm present. Just because you're present, don't mean God is present in your life. Just because you're here, don't mean that you're doing the work. Just because I punch in, you're getting a check, but are you worthy of the check? Are you worthy of the presence? So we have to look at it from that standpoint too. Because a lot of folks say, well, at least I'm here. No, you might as well stay at home. Because if you're not contributing to the body of Christ, you're just taking up space.
Oh, y'all dropping some stuff here. I hope people are paying attention. Oh, my. Shantice, you have at least I'm here, which segues into this is why you can't ignore these things just because he's there in the church. I'm coming back to you, Pastor Vinny. Keep that thinking cap on.
Them just being there gives you more of a headache than when they're not there. Than when you're trying to get them there. A lot of times women feel like, oh, it's just so stressful because I've been ministering to him and I've been trying to tell him, convince him why he should be there. If he comes, you'll find yourself being like the teacher that took the shoe off and threw it at the kid. You'll be doing that during service. You'll be doing that during service.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Hence, you might as well stay on the outside. If you making me get violent up in here. Okay? Because when his body is just there, but he's not present, oh, the hell you go through. Because they are so unhappy about being there that not only do they pay, but you pay. You might as well just go to hell. You just sitting in here is going to make me send myself to hell. You might as well go to hell on the outside. So him being there just to be there isn't benefiting God. It's not benefiting his relationship with God. It's not benefiting your sanity, your godly sanity, nor your relationship with him. Because it's a lot more than just, it's a whole lot of havoc being wreaked when their body is just there, because now their mind is being tormented by all of the I don't feel like being here. I shouldn't have to follow this. It's like making someone go to school who doesn't want to be in school. And you're telling them, that's why a lot of these kids act up in school. Because they don't want to be there. But you as a parent, you won't get through mandated school. You gotta finish K through 12. That's what you tell your kids. But for those kids who really don't like school, that's why they in there acting up and all that. And then a lot of times, what do the authorities say in the school? Listen, they either need to go to an alternative school where it's not as formal, but yet they still getting the education and stuff that they need, or just drop them out because they're gonna be somebody in reform school or juvenile center or something. So yeah, it ends up wreaking havoc for you just because they're there. It becomes 100% useless.
Wow. All right, Pastor Vinny. What's another sign that he might be in church, but that doesn't mean he's dateable right now. That doesn't mean you should set your eyes on him right now. What's another sign? Dating. This ain't the dating time. This ain't the dating time.
You know, we often, you know, as Pastor Kale said, you know, depending on how he treats his mother, it's an important sign to who this young man is and the possibility of him dating. But you know what? In the church today, that boy might be too close to his mother. He might just be another mama's boy, and the mama ain't gonna let him date you because she don't want to lose. She don't want to lose her baby. The father's not in the house, and the son is the closest thing she got to a husband or a companion or you know, just somebody that's gonna look out for her. Mama's trying to make sure that her situation is taken care of. I'm not saying sexual or anything like that, but she just want to She just want to hold on to him so that she would have some kind of protection, that she would have some kind of covering. So that fella is not looking for you. You might be looking for him, but he's not looking for you. And if he is, mama gonna put a stop to it. I've seen a lot of guys grow up in the church. You know, father not there, and the mother at every step, the mother blocking, the mother stopping this young man from growing up to really fulfilling his position as a man or as a potential mate for somebody else.
All right. Wow. That's a good one, Pastor Vinny. That's a good one. All right. We have a comment from Mr. Morrison, and I'm going to throw this to Pastor KL. He says, a good girl. Good morning. I'm sorry. Good morning. Thank you for joining us this morning. Is a good girl in the church? No. I've seen many things and have heard many stories. The leaders of these churches are secretly witches, warlocks, cannibals, and pedophiles.
My Lord.
How would you like to respond to that, Pastor KL?
That's pertaining to women?
That's what he said. A good girl in the church? No.
Yeah, I beg to differ. I mean, you have good girls in church, you have good boys in church. You know, so if I go with your premise, then every woman in church is from hell. There is nothing good that comes out of the church. And so can you dry bones live? No. According to you, we don't even need the call to the winds because we just dead dry bones. There is nothing good coming out of it. So I think that's a really a bad conversation. You know, but I would like to say this, you know, as far as another situation, I think women have to be careful because women set their eyes, you know, on who they want to be with and I want to get married and all this stuff. And you can be a hindrance to someone's deliverance or someone's healing process. You know what I mean? They're coming to church. Listen, first of all, when men come to church, they come to church out of desperation. They come to the church out of the last choice. Because men don't want to come to church. If it's not for the women, is because I've got my back up against the wall and I've tried everything else. And now people keep telling me God, 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 God. So at the last choice of my life, I'm coming to church. And the last thing I need is this female in my face trying to date or trying to see if we can be together because that's a distraction to my healing or my deliverance.
I like that. I
Yeah.
like that. I like that. All right, Shantice. Since you are a female, I'd like for you to respond to a good girl in the church. No. I've seen many things and have heard many stories. The leaders of these churches are secretly witches, warlocks, cannibals, and pedophiles.
Well, whether the leaders fit those titles or not, there are some good girls in the church. There's some girls who go to church horrible and end up being good. There's some who go in good, and because they end up clicking with the wrong set, or unfortunately if they send under the wrong leadership or whatever, it then kind of shifts somewhat. But I agree with Pastor KL to say that there are no good girls in the church. That's saying that God is an exchange agent. So then what's the point in going to church? God can tell me half the time I feel like it's safer in the club. When you compare it to a lot of these churches out here. So if there are no good girls in the church, then what's the point in me going to church? Because I've never been the type to just do things just to do it. I did it because I wanted to do it. I can tell you why I wanted to do it. I may not want you to know my why, but I have a why. So if I'm being told that going to church is supposed to help me out and make me a better person, but yet ain't nobody good coming up out of it, then I might as well stay in the streets. I might as well stay at the club. I might as well stay dealing with this one and doing this thing and whatever I feel like I got to do in order to benefit me. Then what's the point? What was that's a shot at God, to say that God is not who he is, that God cannot better someone, that when you really allow God to do what he does, he's not going to make you see some things. And then when you think about it, that's why people don't like being in the church. Because as sick as it is, this is what people say and this is what people feel. I go to church to get better. God starts making me better. Now I'm running from the better. Because if I went to church and was allowed to stay the way that I am, I'd stay. Because everybody's jacked up in their own way. Your jacked up may not be my jacked up, but everybody's jacked up. So if I was able to go to church and still be able to stay the same and not be challenged, then what am I running from? People are running from the change to be better, because becoming better is challenging. Becoming better, it takes you out your comfort zone. So I'm telling people, that's why I keep telling certain people, stop telling me you want better. Shut up. No, you don't. Because when you get positioned to be better, you're running. So then you really don't want to be better. So we have to realize when we saying stuff like that, we're not taking a shot at people. We're taking a shot at God.
Absolutely. Yes, Pastor Vinny.
You know, I'm thankful that I came to church as a child. It's a big difference when you grow up in the church and when you're a grown person and you're at your, as everybody's saying, at your wit's end, you're trying to find an answer for life.
Right.
Trying to find a solution for life. And it's then when you tend to paint everybody with the same broad brush.
Right.
Everybody is, that's an easy way to get out of it, to get out of your commitment, to get out of you probably doing what you need to do to become whole.
Okay, I like that. A big that makes a difference, Pastor Vinny. As you and Pastor KL said, when you feel like your back is up against the wall, is a whole lot different than when you have learned the benefit of going to church. Now, with your back up against the wall, all kinds of things. It's almost like a ping pong game, you know, where you're just kind of bouncing all over the place until you can find your groove of literally feeling better. And that's a much different journey than if you start off earlier. I like that. We got a check in from Brian. Hey, Shantice. Hey, Pastor. Hey, Brian. Thank you so much. We have, and I gave it in that order. That's the way it came across. Bev says the spirit has to be up in there, and he will do the changing. Absolutely. Absolutely. You've got to be in a surrendering mode so that God can do the change work. God's not forcing a change in you or anybody. You have to be in that submissive state in order to, let that change agent take place, because he ain't making nothing happen. It has to be willing. We are free agents to feel and do what we want to. And until we make our decision to want to be changed. So Bev is right. The spirit has to be up in there. I got one thing before I close. Brian says, ain't no more traditional women left. So Pastor Vinny, you kind of touched on that when you were talking last. So Pastor KL and Shantice, I'm going to give this to you before we get up out of here. But I'm going to give this to Shantice first. Ain't no more traditional women left.
What's traditional? Like, if you're talking about women who just take what you say and don't challenge you when you sound slow, you're right. No. Ain't no more of that. Ain't no more of that. If you're talking about traditional in the fact of I want to be in alignment with God, so I want to walk in how God says I should be as a woman in general. And in addition to that, and this is why you just don't have just the blind following anymore, because women who are serious about being in God are understanding that I have a blueprint as to how I should be a woman in general, and then God talks to Shantice individually as well. So there's a way God needs Shantice to be that he may not need Mary to be, that he may not need Jane to be. Where I keep telling people, where I'm speaking to a lot of people where God is trying to get them to speak up, he's trying to get me to shut up. So see, already there's some personalization going on here.
Right.
So I need to be able to understand the outline of a woman in general, and then the outline of who God has created me to be. So I'm understanding now that, as Ecclesiastes says, there's a time to speak and there's a time to shut up. You say, Shantice, you want to be married. You need to learn there's a time to shut up. Even when you're right. Because I'll be right. But then it go back to the street saying, do you want to be right or do you want to be married? And it doesn't mean that you just let things happen, but it means you learn how to be submissive to God more so that he can say another thing real quick. Men want traditional women, but men don't want to follow God. You cannot. Pastor Steph has said on this broadcast many a day, I grew up with her telling me, Shantice, don't go make 2 steps to the left because there's a hole right there. And I'm like, really? Where? As I'm walking 2 steps to the left, I can walk myself in the ditch. I can go to hell by myself. I've been rebellious towards God by myself. I don't need you to now get mad at me because I'm not following you. And this is a real thing. This is what men do now, especially these slow millennial men. These are what men are doing now. You feel some type of way that I'm not following you, but you showing me how stupid you are. I'm like, this is what I'm supposed to be following. I'm supposed to be following misery. I'm supposed to be following not knowing my left foot from my right. I'm supposed to be following trying to figure everything out on my own, because now it's gotten to the point where Pastor KL said men go to church out of desperation. Even when God is showing these men their back is up against the wall and they still like, I can do it. I can do it. And it's like, Do the brain cells need to be dripping in your eye from your head for you to understand that you ain't got this? And this is what you want women to be submissive to. So no, there is no more of that. Because God is allowing us to just be a little smarter than what we were and understand that we can't follow how slow we were. And now we're going to willingly couple ourselves. No. So we need to get back to understanding who God says we are so that we can be traditional in that sense, but not traditional in the sense where I'm just blindly following you because y'all not following Christ. So no, you're not going to get that anymore.
All righty. Pastor KL, Brian says, ain't no more traditional women left. Okay, yes, that part, how a woman looks through God's eyes. What happened to the Claire Huxtable type of woman?
Claire had Heath. Claire had Heath. Where's Heath?
Mm-hmm. Heathcliff.
Right, where's Heathcliff? That's what Claire did.
I think the problem is, and my niece over there is very passionate about her answer. But I think the problem is not so much that the women were following the men aimlessly. The women knew God. The women were the one that prayed for the family. The women upheld the family. You might have thought you were the head of the house, but the woman was the head of the house. And the woman really never said anything because she prayed about it. She had God on her side. So she wasn't being stupid and just following. She just knew that, listen, God is the only one that's going to deliver us from this thing. He's the only one that's going to get us out of this thing. Women are not praying anymore. Women are just saying, I'm not doing it. This is just not what we're going to do, or what we're not going to do. They didn't do that back then. They said, listen, God, you can do anything but fail. And I trust you in spite of what this idiot is doing. And if you put us together, because, if we put together by God, then I got to believe that you know what you're doing.
Right.
One thing I want to leave us with, yes, the man, we can't rush this thing if he's not ready. But if you look at Elijah and then Elisha, and when you break down Elisha's name, I feel like what's my son's name now? AJ. Even late, I shall have an anointing. Even late, I shall have an anointing. Sometimes the men are just late. They haven't gotten it yet. So that's the other reason why you can't rush it. Because he has to get what God has for him, not what you have for him. Because if you rush him, you take him off the prize of God. So sometimes you just have to sit and wait. Them that wait upon the Lord. Sometimes you just have to be in a place called waiting. And the place called waiting is the place that which you ask for and then which you receive. And that's the place where people don't want to be. They don't want to be in the place called waiting because sometimes it's uncomfortable. Sometimes you're by yourself. But that's what the place called waiting is the place from when you ask God for it and the place from when you receive it. Just because you ask don't mean you're going to get it right now.
Amen.
Men are waiting for the rapture.
Oh my goodness. You have given it up today, Duke Time crew. I pray that they have truly listened to the word that you have given today. If you missed any of this, you need to go back because God really, really spoke to you women and men today. Thank you so much for your contribution into today's conversation. And we pray you have a blessed day.
Thank you.
Amen,
You too.
amen.
Take care.
All right. We've got a statement. A good girl in the church? No. I have seen many things and I have heard many stories. So let's start there. I have seen many things and I have heard many stories. Well, here's my question. How long you been in the church? Ooh, is it 5 minutes you're rating and you're coming to this conclusion, or have you really been in the church? Because here's the thing that you will learn about God. We cannot blanket God on any level for any reason. God says in the very beginning, let us make man in our own image. So here's what this says to me. This says to me that despite God making man in his own image, that it didn't work. If you can't find any good girl in the church, then that means that God is a liar. Because he did whatever he was supposed to do, but it didn't work. And God says, I will never fail. I cannot fail. So my question becomes, not only how long have you been in the church, but then what do you really know about God? Oh, pay attention. Because see, when I hear women say there ain't no good men out here, I say then you're insulting God. Because what you're trying to say is, or what you are saying in other words, because I always tell people there's two ways of saying everything, or more than one way to say everything. When you say there's no good women, there's no good men, then what you're saying is God made what? What? He's incapable of making anything good. Second, what is your definition of good? What's the definition of good? Because it's subjective and relative to who's making the statement. If I feel that there are no good women in the church, I don't know how we're gauging this thing. What are you seeing or hearing, or what have you been told about that indicates that there are no good women in the church? I'm not just targeting in the church, because what you're saying is there's no good women anywhere. Because I'm sorry, if you're comparing this to what's on the outside, there are more good that are in than there are out. I'm sorry. That's what I have seen, and that is the story that I have been told. So who's telling the story? Who's the recipient of the story? How are you relaying the story? Oh, we got a whole lot of things, a whole lot of factors that we got to think about. Now, let's get to Brian, who says, what happened to the Claire Huxtable type of women? You know, I'm talking about the part of women that they look good through God's eyes, pretty much is what he's saying. I think we eliminate, and this kind of goes back to the first statement. What have you done to contribute to the good woman? Have you spent more time tearing the woman down than building the woman up? Because I got to think about all of this stuff, because see, the first comment was kind of jaded, if you will. See, you've been tearing women down, and now you want to say there's no good woman. Where's the Claire Huxtables? Like Shanti said, where are the cliffs? Where are the cliffs? See, you can't look for a Claire if you're not a cliff. So why is the expectation more on the Claire than it is on the cliff? See, I can talk about I want to look for a cliff if I'm a Claire. But if whatever I've done, I have not met the standard of being a Claire, then I can't look for my cliff. So we got to be very careful of how we speak here, because, you know, when we look out and we say, oh, all these apples are bad, and you didn't keep the apples well, or you didn't maintain the apples well, or you kept them in a manner that they would not stay good, the preservation wasn't handled properly, then everything begins to look askewed, but you don't ever think about what you have done to help to make it the way it is. We have to be very careful of how we look across the table. Are we looking in the mirror first? Are we tearing down the men and now we're looking up? So in other words, are you, because I think Pastor Kale kind of touched on it, are you the type that won't submit to a man in any shape, form, or fashion because all your experience has been men who have done you wrong, men who have cheated on you, and men have disappointed you, and men have lied to you, and things like that, and that's how you're gauging the way you submit to a man? Are you the cheater, the abuser, the liar, but yet you want the Claire, but yet there are no good girls in church? See, when we didn't beat something down so low, it's going to take a little bit of time to get built back up. That don't happen overnight. It does not happen overnight. So we're looking at people who have been abused. We're looking at people who have gone through a rough period. And now we have this level of expectation. And we haven't looked in the mirror to find out, what have I done? Have you built your daughters up? Oh. What are you doing with your nieces? What are you doing with your younger cousins? What are you doing, men, with your mother who was beat down by your father? Are you now going to walk in his shoes and help to tear her down? Or are you going to help to build her up? And you're going to let her know, Mom, you did a great job despite it all. So we got to be very careful when we ask these questions or we make these statements. What is the level of expectation based on what have you contributed to the cause? Just asking. Just asking again. I said it for the last 2 weeks. Parallel your life up against the Word of God. If you can come up with all checks, wow. But if there's anything off, understand that you may have contributed to there not being any good women in the church, according to you, or you're not seeing the Claire Huxtables that you felt that were once out here. And I'm disappointed. I'm still looking. I loved what Pastor KL said when he said the women of yesterday, they trusted God for everything. They trusted God for everything. But there was a kind of like a little imbalance at one point because they took a lot of abuse and they trusted God on the back end. These days and times, women are not taking the abuse. And we have to find a way to trust God. So some women back then, they should have left, but they stayed. Did it work out for them? Sometimes it did, sometimes they didn't. There's a story that I was told quite a few years ago, a few decades ago. And there was a woman, a young woman who was getting married or dating. She was dating and she complained to her mother that, I want a husband like yours. I'm looking at, your husband and, I'm seeing how great he is. And, why can't, Bob be like him? And finally, Mom got tired and said, let me help you understand something. You see the Bob, the James you see, the Mike you see, the Matthew you see, that wasn't the Matthew where I got started. That's not the original Matthew. That Matthew was something else. And I took it for a long time. The womanizing, the deceit, the lies, the mistreatment. And finally, one day I said to him, listen, you asked me to marry you. You need to get this together. Because I done had these kids. I done went along with your plan. And now, this is what you offer me. You staying out not all night, but sometimes 3 days at a time. I'm not dealing with this anymore. And she said that from that point on, she never had a problem with him. So sometimes we got great results, and sometimes women died with the same old situation. And I'm not saying God doesn't change things around, but we don't know every situation. But I will agree that the women back then trusted God more. The women these days, the focus is on, I've been hurt and I'm not going to be hurt no more by any means necessary. The problem these days also, what in the world are you, how are you choosing your man? How are you choosing the man you're with? Are you choosing him? That was the difference between then and now. See, back then, women were a lot more patient. Now, women are a lot more desperate. And like the men have said, Pastor Vinny and Pastor Kale said, you don't go chasing for your husband, because the word of God says something very different. It says, he who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord. So if you out here looking, you already done messed up the whole thing. And that's what we talked about a few weeks ago when Brother Ainsley said, if you start off wrong, and I have always said, if you start off wrong, it is hell getting back on track. Your best bet is to start off properly. Because when you start off wrong, getting back on track, sometimes it's almost impossible. Especially if you try to do it without God. It ain't happening for you. Because God is the only one who can make the crooked man straight. If you don't ever trust God, you ain't going to get that. That's not going to be your result. So you're going to have to make sure you do it the right way. I don't care what happens. I don't care who says what. Ladies, learn to wait on God. If you're going to church, if God has somebody in that church for you, it will be revealed. But it won't be because you didn't sort him out. If God has someone on the outside who he will bring into the church. See, a lot of times we women think that we're going to mold and shape them to becoming what we need them and who we need them to be. That's not our job. We can't mold, we can't shape, we can't change, no nothing. As Bev said earlier, it's God who's the change agent, not us. And because we're so desperate and we didn't made one mistake, and now we're making future mistakes trying to correct that one mistake. Do you know how many women have gotten pregnant and had children out of wedlock, and now they spend how many years trying to find a father for that first child because the first child's father is not there? Listen, take that mistake to God and let God fix that mistake. You doing it, that ain't happening. Because we're going to settle. We're going to have our minds and our eyes on the wrong thing. We're going to look for something that was better than what we finished with. And that ain't much better, because by the time that new thing gets revealed, you got another baby and a marriage possibly. And now you've got bigger issues. We have to learn to wait on God. And I understand, just like I think it was Pastor Kale said, that waiting thing, that's hard. But the one thing that we know is that all things work out for the good of them that love the Lord and who are called according to his purpose. Give God the time, give God the chance, and let God do what God can only do and God needs to do. We don't understand our needs. We think we do. We don't understand it the way God knows it. Only God knows 100%. For you men who feel like you're looking or expecting these women to become or be all of this greatness, make sure you're the greatness. Make sure that they meet your greatness. Stop looking for things when you have not contributed to the pot. Because until you do, you have nothing to say. So even if there were no good women in the church, or there were no more Claire Huxtables in this world, if you haven't done your job, then there's nothing you can say about it. Make sure that you are always doing your job. My grandmother used to always say, whatever happens, make sure you're right. Just make sure you're right. Can't talk about anything, can't talk about anybody. Just make sure you're right. Because if everybody made sure that they were right in the eyes of God, then this world would be a much better place. Are you raising your sons to be the men that these women need? Because women have they have shown that they are a whole lot stronger than men. Are you raising them to be the men that women can now look at and see God in them and say, this is what I need. This is who I'm looking for. This is when he approaches her, she can say, you know what? This is God. Not just hope, cross her fingers and pray that he's going to turn out to be something better than what she's had already. So I'm a little sensitive to when men complain about women. Why? Because I know the damage that men have done to women. How are you talking about women when you're in jail? How are you talking about women when you're the abuser? How can you talk about women when you're the neglector? How can you talk about women when you just do everything in the woman, whether it's your niece, your daughter, your sister? Nobody out here could ever rely on you when they're non-existent, or they take second place to what your agenda is. Only after you have done everything, then you can critique. But up until then, let God deal with you. Because here's the thing, when God deals with you, when you allow yourself to be submissive to God, he's going to reveal who you are and who you are not. And then you'll be so busy working on you that you won't notice the imperfections everywhere else before God finishes dealing with you. You've been watching It's Due Time with Pastor Steph. Join us Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. where we discuss matters of the heart, mind, and spirit. As you go through your day, set your mind on things that are above, not on things that are on the earth. They will only serve as a distraction. Remember, prayer changes things. It's Pastor Steph signing off, and I want to thank my Due Time crew for always coming through big time. Trust me, they really had some gems out there today. If you missed it, go back. Please do not miss this opportunity to give Christ your life right now. Please do not miss this opportunity to strengthen that relationship with the Lord right now, because later is not promised to anyone. If you have not already done so, please hit that subscribe button. I want to thank all of you because the subscribers have been climbing, and you help to put us out there more. You help that algorithm to kind of shift a little bit, and we get a little more attention. And we definitely want to get God's word out there because there's so much trash on YouTube. People definitely need to hear God's word. Please hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell, share, comment, and help us get God's word out. If you cannot watch, but you can listen, we are definitely out there. We are on Spreaker.com, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon, Audible.com, Apple iTunes, Apple Podcasts. We are not only in the United States, but we are getting a lot of listen from other countries that don't even speak English. So shame on you if you're in the United States and you're not telling other people, because clearly they are. So please make sure you help us to push. We can't thank you enough for your love. We can't thank you enough for your support. Make sure you tell somebody, and make sure you check us out tomorrow morning with Vivian and her Socially Conscious segment, and it will be Wow Wednesday, God spares. Until then, I love you.